So some things about Towers of Doom that I think need to be articulated before we even get into this game. This map is about experience, not about the shots. If you've ever, watched any professional players play Hearthstone, people are like, "Why is Zombie Chow good? Why do you control the board instead of going face all the time?" Pretty common question. This map is kind of like Hearthstone.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Lord Boo, I do not have a fancier UI because this is on a previous patch, and whenever you're playing previous patches, Blizzard forces you to default to the shit UI, unfortunately. But on this map in particular, it's important to realize that the shots don't matter until the game ends. Literally, they don't matter. If you're ahead in the late game, you can dominate the map. You can cap every single building, you can get all the camps, you can go boss. You can easily get every single altar. And you're going to be in a position where you just win the game from that point onward. So this is a map where losing the early game objectives actually just sort of doesn't matter in a lot of cases, as long as you're a comp that can get ahead in the late game or the mid game. Vikings help you do that. So, and again, this is an interesting choice. Bribery is actually not great on this map, just because the sappers are all tri-camps. So bribe is slightly less valuable for that reason alone. And the Baylog talents help you get camps a little bit faster than bribe does, actually. And it helps you clear waves, which matters for soaking and then being able to hide in the bush. By far the most versatile Viking on the smaller maps where wave clear is really critical. So we see Asmo off on his own. This doesn't actually make sense to ever do when you have Vikings. If you're not together as 4 when you're Vikings, you're just bad. So you're not prepared is not prepared to be good at this game, and you should be with this team. Vikings can soak all the lanes. Remember, and there's a difference between soaking and pushing. Vikings can soak all the lanes, they can't necessarily push all the lanes. So it's really important if you have a Vikings on your team, just be together as 4. The easiest way of doing that is just follow the tank around. This is Draco, this is Johanna. Everyone should just be like, we're going to be near Draco all the time. Draco rotates, we're going to rotate. If Draco pushes, we're going to push. Whatever. Alright, now that we got his 4, and it's these 2 lanes are getting soaked by the red team, but they're also getting soaked by the blue team. They're going to, in some sense, lose those lanes when they don't rotate, but they're not going to lose them harder than they're winning the lane that there is 4 in. Whose replay is this? This is Odious' replay. I guess I should whisper Odious. Actually, let me whisper Odious real quick, guys. I'm bad at this thing. I'm bad at being a streamer. My only claim to being good at a streamer is that I'm really good at analyzing things. This is a little bit awkward. The Haka can reinforce instantly, but I do think the Haka is better at ganking Vikings. Wow, going so hard for those kills. Nice blow by the Asmo. Trading the Vala for it, no, the save happened, and Nugan very, very low. Condemn should finish him off. That's 2 kills right before the altars. That's actually really critical timing. So now our blue team is half a level ahead. Our Vikings team is half a level ahead. They have the push from the Asmo. We do see the Asmo is going for the full laser build, which is, I think, the correct decision in this case. The Vikings should be at this altar right now. The Vikings can delay, especially either Baylog or Eric, can delay altars for a very long time if they're microed correctly. This does not have to be sacrificed. They just basically sacrifice to print nothing there. Again, that's indicative of a Vikings player who's not 100% comfortable playing Vikings all the time. Because, oh, he looks like he PC'd. That would probably explain it. Vikings are just really, really hard to play to get maximum value. because you should be soaking all the lanes, and then when something comes up that you can help with, you should go to that. And delaying altars is one of the best uses of Vikings on the map. We do see Eric the Swift was picked up, so that's, you know, a critical thing. Eric the Swift is basically uncatchable when microed well, just because of the increased speed and because of the healing that he gets when running. So here we have the bottom wall gone, and I think that I like this decision. Once you have the wall, I think it's better to go for to rotate and keep getting the walls in the other lanes. I think this is a really standard strategy for Vikings, and it should be the de facto standard if you're not going for heavy gank comp. When you have an Asmo and Joe, it's easier to go for push, and then just go for ganks. So they're just making this decision. That's a little bit of an overextension, but that should have been punished. So whenever a Nubrak burrow charges in like that, it means he no longer has an escape. You can easily just punish that. And now they find that a Haka who tried to go for the flank, they did get the stun on one ask again, but I'm amazed a Nubrak and a Haka both live there. They both massively overextended and were punished. This is one of those situations where the saying "don't focus the tanks" is wrong. It's just wrong. If a tank is overextended, if anyone is overextended, ever, just kill them. If the entire team actually focused them, they would die. But we can see Anubrak got out with a sliver of health because no one decided to focus him right away. The Haka, same thing. They got out with a sliver of health because no one focused him. Whenever a hero is overextended, regardless of if they're a tank or not, just turn on them and kill them. Please, God.
Masters will rise shortly, heroes. Be ready. You must capture them quickly.
Is this prison cap? Do people in prison wear polos? I'm not familiar with that. Should draw little bars over the face cam. I actually went salsa dancing last night. It was a ton of fun. I haven't been dancing in so long. My body hurts right now. Like, so I would go to dance festivals. I would dance for literally like 7 to 8 hours straight without sleep because lessons started at 9 a.m. and the dancing stopped at 6 or 7 in the morning, and I just wouldn't sleep. I would just dance all night and then go to lessons. You know, eat, take a shower, and go right back to dancing. I just didn't sleep. And I can't imagine doing that right now. I couldn't even dance for 3 straight hours doing every single dance last night. I'm so out of shape. So here we see again, I mean, Asmodan's dead, but we see a situation where all of the heroes weren't together. Where is the Vala? Didn't even see the Vala. I could adjust the cam. I actually should set up though. You're right. You're right. I'm a little hunched over. There we go. A Vala back. But again, yeah, see, if you're not together as 4, it's really easy to get collapsed on by the enemy team. And that negates the advantage of the Vikings, because the Vikings get you ahead by soaking every lane, and then you get value out of pushing. Right? If you're not together as 4, and they can collapse on you and get picks, you die, you give the enemy team experience, you're negating everything the Vikings has done up to that point. So dying is really, really bad in general, but dying when you have a Vikings on your team is actually worse. If the Vikings die, it's not as big a deal, but if you die, you're just making a really, really big mistake for your team. And if someone gets picked, back off, because they're gonna try and snowball that advantage once they have it in numbers. So overstaying was a mistake, especially when Vala backed for health, like the other 2 stayed, and they ended up both dying for no reason, basically. Not good. Here we see Nazebo essentially countering the Vikings by pushing. There's no Viking alive down here because he got the pick on it. As soon as a Viking gets picked in a lane, the entire team should rotate to deal with that situation. So that Nazebo should be dead, and this damage shouldn't have existed, because when the Viking got picked, it was like 30 seconds ago, they knew it happened. They've just been looking at the minimap, it could have been like bottom's not because they're never rotate. And again, it's the tank that should be doing that, and everyone should just follow the tank. Easiest way to do this, even in Hero League, I think everyone can be like, I'm following the Johanna. It's not complicated, but then it's up to the Johanna to understand that. Pretty seven-sided. Again, lack of focus though. And it really is, if they would just focus the tanks, They would just focus the tanks. Now they need to get the cocoon out. We see Draco's massively overextended. This fight is just awful. Everyone's everywhere. Was that a web wrap Viking? Oh my god.
Like all the others.
They could have waited to cap that. They'd clearly won the fight once they'd gotten the Haka kill. They could have waited to cap the altar until they'd gotten the building. There's no point in staying here anymore. Right? Because it's not going to be ready to go. They're not actually defending anything right now. Ice is just being super aggressive. They actually do end up getting the ulti kill, but they trade it for the Vala. That's not a good thing. You don't want to trade 1 for 1 when you're ahead because of the bonus experience you get. So that was a huge mistake. They should have just left. And they didn't. They're still not going to, apparently. We see Vikings use play again to bring everyone back, and now he's going to split them up. Which is a good decision. Tahaka trying to solo a camp. This is a waste of time. Tahaka is one of those heroes that you just never, ever, ever solo a camp. It's just not efficient. It's barely possible to do it well if you take Primal Aggression at level 1, but otherwise, it's just not very good. So, again, we have the team split. We see Karazim's bot, Joe and Vala are mid, Asmodan is top, and it ends up working out, but it's only working out because the red team is so distracted by trying to reclaim this fort. Now, reclaiming this fort is important, but pressuring a team that's split is more important when they have Vikings. Whenever you see Asmodan alone like that, they should have just rotated up and killed him. A good trade when you're ahead is at least 3 for 2, maybe. But that just keeps you even. You gotta remember that. The bonus experience is substantial enough, and it increases per level difference. So for instance, if you're 4 levels ahead, there is no good trade. There just really, literally is not a good trade. If you trade 5 for 1, that is still basically an XP advantage. I mean, obviously they can get more advantage on the map, but you just never want to trade if you're more than like 2 levels ahead, and if you're even a level ahead, you really need to kill more of them than they kill with you. So 2 for 1, 3 for 2, 4 for 3 are marginally acceptable, but marginally. Again, we have the Vikings player not quite getting to everyone in time, but we do see the Asma with the globe, getting the interrupt, and that should be an easily dead Gazebo. Nicely done. And we see the Vikings in the top lane pushing this in. He's going to get some value here. Lunara pointing out that they have a stronger team fight comp. And deciding to stay together. It's not a bad idea. They are gonna lose though, because Asmodan Vala actually does have more siege damage. And then Joe clears the waves. That's kind of a waste of 7-sided strike, but Mubrak does end up going down anyway because he's using Burrow Charge aggressively. You really can't afford to use your Burrow Charge aggressively in situations like this. Nice Burrow for the save. That could have been timed out. That could have been timed out to guarantee that kill. Dahaka's Burrow is exactly 2 seconds. You can't do anything to alter the timing. Once again, underestimating Asma Laser. Asma Laser stacks damage over time, which I think a lot of people miss, but also look at his fucking talent build. It's insane. It's all lasers. If you're getting lasered by an Asmodan, you either interrupt it or run. So Dahaka's playing Rambo off on his own here. He does end up getting a drag off. Nazebo with the zombie wall actually messing up his own team there. Ice survived because of that zombie wall. That zombie wall actually saved the Vala, unfortunately. Which is a situation that happens a lot. We're about a level and a half behind right now. It actually isn't too bad, but we're going into the second triple altar phase. And this is going to be a point where... Now, unfortunately, quality options only exist for partnered streamers, and I am not yet a partnered streamer. I'm sorry. Johnny. The
altars have risen. Activate them now.
Sometimes, if you're hosted by a partner streamer, you'll get quality options. I think it's really interesting. I have noticed that as a thing. So again with the pressure, this is even talented. So this is the first time that red team has been even talented in a while. They have, you know, a target cocoon. The healer, they could have done something with that potentially. They didn't. Oops. But we now have a new Brack with Epicenter. Epicenter is really good versus Vikings. Epicenter is good in general, but versus Vikings in particular, like look at that. His reset is instantaneous. He actually can just burrow charge again right away if he wants to. He does it again. He does it again. He ends up dying. If you're gonna burrow charge in like that using Epicenter, you actually need to take Locust Swarm for the sustain. You can't take Web Wrap in that situation. You just can't. Also, Dahaka's not as good a tank as Anubrak, so Dahaka's kind of the bruiser in this composition, and Anubrak is the tank. And whenever you're the tank, you need the survivability, period. You should basically never take Cocoon as the tank, unless maybe you're up against a Cho'Gall, or maybe if you really need a way to negate Maelstrom or Tranquility. Twitch will occasionally give it to people who have consistent viewers who are being considered for partnership to see, because sometimes the quality options actually matter for retaining certain kinds of viewers, and it's one of their metrics. I say that as someone who, A, knows people who work at Twitch. They changed it a year ago because of V-Bot, makes sense. Yeah, I know people who work at Twitch, and I know a number of professional streamers who've had to go through this process. It doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense from the outside, but inside, Twitch has really good reasons for what they do. So here again, we see a massive split, and Karazim and Johanna both got picked off because Asmo is split pushing. Doesn't make sense for Asmo to be split pushing. Asmo shouldn't be split pushing. Asmo's actually pretty much throwing the game right now. So the bottom fort is in some sense the most important one, is because there's a lot of altars that spawn down here, and it looks like the red team's actually really unlucky in that the fact that the fort they took is not going to give them a tactical advantage in the next fight.
Team has destroyed a fort.
But this is actually a critical fort because now all of the forts are not capped, which means they're not getting free shots, which gives them the time to soak 20. They actually will get 20 if they kill one of the keeps, but they can't really afford to give up all the altars, or both altars, because it will result in an immediate loss. So they need to cap one of them, and blue team should actually be aware of that and forcing the issue. Again, the Vikings could be delaying this altar. They are. There is two down here. He doesn't need Eric here. Eric could have been up here to delay, and he just wasn't. So, again, a pretty big mistake in play from the Vikings player. And it doesn't look like the left altar got capped either, so it looks like they're going to be able to get both, even though they're down the talent here. Web Wrap on, I think that's the Karazim, preventing the heal, but Draco has Indestructible. And Vikings come in with the play again. This is again that situation where a noob can get a lot of value out of Epicenter just constantly spamming it. Bad. That's really bad. Burrow Charge getting full cooldown and Divine Shield getting wasted. Rewind does pop up immediately though. They get level 20 and he charges in, trying to make something happen, and ends up dying completely. This game would be so different if this noob could take a Locust Swarm. So completely different. Ice, gonna get isolated and taken down here. That's the movement speed from Dahaka coming into play there. Movement speed on Dahaka is pretty much a critical talent regardless of what he's doing, and it allowed him to secure that kill, whereas he would not have been able to otherwise. And now they're up. Only Karazim's alive. Karazim doesn't really have any wave clear, and two of the Vikings, two of the three. So at this point, red team just needs to start reclaiming the map. They need to get all the lanes pushed in. They need to take this time to be really useful. They're at 5 shots, so boss is not an automatic win, but they also have the Wisp. The Wisp should be on boss for the entire remainder of the game. If the enemy team comes to take it, they can come and wipe them really easily. So Karazim's in the bot lane trying to reclaim this fort, but they have all of their forts back. They're going to get mid. And this really came down to the fact that they lost this fight in the bottom when they were 20 versus 18, or 19 versus 18, excuse me, because Asmodan was split pushing top. If Asmodan had not been split pushing top, or they had opted not to take that fight at all, because you shouldn't fight when you're right near being on a talent tier advantage, because you have that immediate win. So basically Asmodan was the primary reason this game got thrown, but being a little overextended. And the reason they were overextended was because they wanted to go for that, those shots, right? But they didn't need those shots to win the game. I believe the person who submitted this is in Gold League, but I don't know if this was Hero League or Unranked. So, and their MMR could be substantially different. I actually know 2 people who have Platinum MMR in Hero League, but are in Masters in Unranked, according to Hotslogs. Actually, one of the top 38 unranked players in Unranked, according to Hotslogs, is 9-5 in Hero League. So, there's some pretty substantial variation in play level. So they go for the trade. Only 3 shots are given. I don't necessarily think they should have gone for that trade, but I understand they need to stick together, and the Vikings just have a lot of map mobility. Karazim massively overextends there. His tank was here. Karazim was here. As a rule, with the possible exception of certain melee assassins, you should never be in front of your tank. If you're a ranged DPS, if you're a support, you should just never be in front of your tank. Heroes like Thrall with Sunder, Kerrigan with her Engage are a little bit of an exception. A lot of them, they actually have such strong engages that they engage for the team and the tank becomes a follow-up. The tank has to immediately go in, though. So if you ever see a melee assassin engage and you're the tank, you need to follow up on that. But you can't just go in as a support and expect to do anything but feed. The reason Karazim did that was because he's in this mindset of, I can do this, because he's been able to do it earlier in the game when they were ahead, but right now they're even. You always got to think about the fact that when you're ahead, you can afford to make ballsy plays because you have that advantage of the scaling, but when you're even, that advantage goes away. So at this point, Blue is really just playing like they're ahead constantly, and they're not. They're very, very, very much behind right now because they've lost all the momentum that allows Vikings to be really good. And since Vikings did not take Fury of the Storm, they don't have the threat of massive wave clear in every single lane to pressure all the lanes. One of the reasons we often see Fury of the Storm taking the Vikings in pro level play is because it makes each individual Viking basically a Zagara, pushing every single lane all the time, which puts so much pressure on your buildings that it becomes very hard to keep them up, especially if there's a strong 4-man rotate guarding the Vikings. So once again, Wisp needs to be on this. I'm not sure where Lunara's Wisp is right now. I can't actually select her either. Looks like she doesn't have a Wisp open on the map. Again, a nice 7-sided strike dodge, 5 of the Haka. Mugen is very low. That is an unnecessary Divine Shield who's already backing out. As a support, you want to save Divine Shield for Divine Shielding people who are going to stay in the fight. But it looks like they're going to try and go for the kill on Woness again. A noob mistimes his burrow charge, so he's not get the stun. And Woness again is making a mistake here. He should run to safety or run away from the map objective. Instead, he's running away from safety and to the map objective, which is an advantage for the red team, because they're giving them the opportunity to kill him and be right on top of the objective when it spawns. He could have created space for his team by going up, or he could have potentially gotten away by going left, but instead he went to like the worst possible place. If you know you're gonna die, think about where you can die or where you can leave the enemy team, chase them for a little bit, where they're not gonna get as much advantage. So that's everything capped except top, and red just needs to go top and cap it. At this point, they could potentially gank Asmo here, who's going to immediately try and reclaim mid. But I think that's the low value play. The high value play here is threatening to end. So we do see Vikings doing play again. They shouldn't have actually stunned that out. If they hadn't stunned out play again on Vikings, they could have killed every single Viking right there for a lot of experience and guaranteeing that his global presence is gone from the map for 60 seconds here in the late game, 65 seconds. It would have been really, really good. And the team shouldn't be here either, because you're not going to be able, you're not going to prevent this from going down. It's already low. You know, they have more of their heroics to some degree. It's just, thank you for the follow. I'm sorry the pop-up's not working. I don't know why. They needed to reclaim either bot or mid more than they needed to save that. And when you're behind and you get on this ring around the rosy bullshit, it's just the way it is. You've gotta reclaim buildings, because if you go for the fight, you're committing yourself to either winning that fight or losing the game, and that's not a situation you want to put yourself in ever, right? Because you can delay until the next altar comes up. You only need to cap one altar to win the game at this point. So blue should be focusing on being purely defensive, Instead, they went for a fight that they were very unlikely to win, didn't win it, and ended up even further behind. As a result, they did against reclaim mid in time. Again, Asmo being overextended. Hey, Joe. How many deaths is that for the Asmo? 5, most on his team. Yeah, I'll buy that. The Asmo's just been really overextended all game long. He never backs up when he really needs to, and he's never quite getting the value. He's never justifying his split pushing with the amount of value he's getting versus the amount of value his team is losing from him not being there. So this is a win condition, right? This is a win condition for blue. They just reclaimed their altars, so they're in good shape, but the Asmo's dead. If Asmo was not dead, this would be an even fight. And blue shouldn't go in here. They should not take this uneven fight. There's no reason to. They're just going to get absolutely erased. And we can see it's not going to go well for them. Indestructible is going to proc go off here in a second. Iron Skin comes back up. Plague Again is available. Ice is extremely low. Ice should just leave. And Johanna just dies. So they were probably not going to win that fight. They went into the fight knowing they probably weren't going to win it. And nothing good happened as a result. Now they're at a condition where either of the next altar phases is a win. And at this point, they should just wait till Johanna reses and go for boss. They should force a fight at boss. Like, keep doing the ring around the altars. Keep killing the keeps. And Asmo, again, off on his own. And now they can't win. Asmo's gonna die here. 100% Asmo's gonna die here. And now they can't win because they can't contest this objective. 3v5. That's a really unusual game, in my opinion. And I'll tell you why. Normally, a team falls behind because of a bad team fight, because of a bad decision made as a team. That game was actually almost single-handedly lost by the Asmodan. It's very unusual in Heroes of the Storm, in my opinion, at least and from my personal experience, to have a team lose because of one player's consistently bad actions. Asmo just needed to be with the team all the time, right from level 1, and he often was split when he didn't need to be. The team made the mistake of taking a couple of fights without Asmodan there, so they were essentially, because the Vikings don't count, to a large degree the Vikings don't count, especially if they don't take boat. The team engaged in a 3v5 that they lost. If you're going to have a split-pushing hero, you have to poke and never hard engage. And if you end up getting an advantage due to missed skill shots or blown heroics or whatever, then you can go into a 4v5. But the Asmodan was basically the reason that blue team lost that game. And we can't see their chat because whoever submitted this was submitted by the red team. But I'm really hoping that in blue chat, someone was saying, Asmodan, please group. Asmodan, please group. There's a place for split-pushing heroes in Heroes of the Storm, especially after the most recent minion changes. That place is not when you have Vikings. Vikings are the split-pushing hero. You can't have 2+ split-pushing heroes. That doesn't work. You need, at most, you get one split-pushing hero and you try and delay objectives in a 4v5 scenario to let the split-pusher get you ahead in experience so you win the later game. You win the later game by being grouped as 5. Right? So split-pushing is really about experience, which allows you to get ahead, which allows you to group as 5 to win fights. And then you don't split push more unless you're Once there's kills on the board, right? So if 3 people are dead on the enemy team, you can go back and split pushing. And your team can, get value on the map other ways, by like capping a boss while you're getting a building, and so on, and so on, and so on. I think a lot of people misunderstand what split pushing is and what it's for. But that's a frustrating game, in my opinion, just because I really do think that it was mostly the Asmodean's fault with 1 or 2 bad calls by the Johanna. Yes, Lord Boo?